Alright, so I would love to do more product endorsements in the hopes of becoming an influencer and getting free stuff sent to me. But I just gotta say, as far as quality goes, so of the many buyouts that are comical, we've got, what is this? Diablo buying Freud. And they both make saw blades, but Diablo makes saw blades in China cheaply for Home Depot. And the accountants take as much metal out of it as possible. This thing is actually made in Italy. How about that? But the anti-vibration elements are different. If you look at the teeth that are staggered, which is useful, but they're not particularly well connected, and they don't look very regular, and most importantly, they're not very I mean, they're sharp, but they're not impressively sharp the way that, like, you know, knife dorks like me, you know, you touch it, you know, you brag about I can shave dry with it, whatever. But you can tell if a knife is really freaking sharp, or any edge. It certainly applies to saw blades. This Freud is, from the get-go, it's a thin curve, so this is as thin as they want it, but it's still, I mean, pushing half a millimeter thicker than the larger Diablo. And if you look at these frickin' teeth, they are flawless. I mean, they're just gorgeous. And again, you have to be nerdy to care about teeth, but you look at the light move across the teeth, man, I get a semi out of this shit. As I always say that, you know, Volkswagen bought Lamborghini, but it doesn't make them the same car. And these were both fairly expensive blades. The Wood Demon, I think, ended up being like 50 with tax. Might have been 46 or something. And the Freud was 66 from Amazon versus from Harmco, which is a great company. But for being sponsored by Diablo, I wish they could at least stock Freud, because it isn't a, I like to think, an upmarket, better specialized hardware store. But anywho, yeah, I'm taking the Wood Demon back. I never even installed it. I just couldn't bring myself to do it because it's just not a great saw blade. And I only change my saw blades, I'm lucky, once a decade, you know. I should sharpen them and do shit like that, but ain't nobody got time for that shit. And I want it to be as good as possible out the box, and I want it to last as long as possible. I want it to perform well, because why wouldn't I? And if I'm spending 50 bucks on a blade, I want to get 50 bucks out of that blade. This is a weird 9-inch blade for my old ass saw. This is a little framing blade for a skill saw, and it's a DeWalt, and it's got slightly more sophisticated anti-vibration things. They're larger. This, I don't know, it still feels, I don't want to say stinky poo-poo, but DeWalt makes some good blades, and they're not universally exceptional. I think as a cheaper brand, I like Irwin, but you know, if given the option, fucking give me Freud. Bosch makes good reciprocating saw blades. But this is an old school one. It looks pretty wild and vicious, but it doesn't even have the, I don't know, high carbon tip things, whatever. The fancy, yeah, it doesn't tell me what the what is, but it's real nice. And this is just gonna dull. You know, this is just a stamped blade that clearly has never been used, because if it was used, it would be a lot more jacked than this real quick. Maybe it was used once. It's got very slight signs of wear. I would say likely used barely once and then decided not to be used because it was not doing the thing it needed to do. This is another thicker stamped blade. This does look like it got used, so, but this also looks, the teeth are more sophisticated. They're more alternating in angle of attack or whatever. This looks like a nicer blade. It is branded to Distin Deluxe, sure. Henry Distin and Sons, Philadelphia, USA. Yeah, this definitely got used, and it looks like a pretty nice blade, all things considered. I'd consider it. And this weirdo is a heavy blade. It does have the new teeth. It's been engraved with somebody's name and sharpied. It's seen some use. The teeth look like they could be sharpened. They're starting to bow, and it is very much not sharp. I could still draw blood, but I'd have to bruise myself to do it. But anyways, Freud's real nice.